Hello and welcome back to Down the Shore Homestead. I've been thinking a lot about a few family and friends who seem to be struggling due to the high inflation and the way that the world is right now. So I thought, how did my grandparents do it back in the day during the Great Depression? I've been doing a lot of research, and there's definitely more than 10 ways to becoming more frugal to get you through, but I've grouped them into 10 categories that we're going to go over in this video today. So stick with me to the end because there's a lot of great tips on how to become more frugal. And as we say around here, let's go down the shore. So, as I said in the introduction, this video is going to be 10 categories on how to become more frugal. Each category has a few different examples of how to become frugal, and we're going to go through those now. I had to keep notes because there's a lot of information here. The number one category would be groceries or food. And I've noticed, and you've probably noticed as well, you need to pay attention to the weight of the item that you're buying because they've shrunk the boxes or they've shrunk the packaging. So pay attention to net weight cost on the item that you're purchasing. You might find it cheaper in another box, in another brand. Buy generic because in a lot of cases, it's the name brand that they made too much of, so they use the extra as a generic brand. Make your own granola and snacks. It's much healthier, and you know what ingredients are going into the snacks that you're preparing for your family, so they have less chemicals and they're healthier. Meal plan for like a month so that you only have to go to the grocery store once a month, as well as eat seasonally, because if you eat out of season vegetables and fruits, you're paying way more for the product that you're getting. Grow your own food and cook your own food. Even if you have a small apartment, you can grow your own food. There are a ton of videos out there on how to grow in small areas. And there's also videos on how to grow fast growing vegetables so that you get a quicker harvest. And if you make your own food, you know what's going into the food, it's healthier, and there's less chemicals. Stay away from those processed food boxes because they're full of chemicals, they're expensive now, and it's just healthier to make it yourself. Butcher your own food. I'm not saying raise them and call them out. What I'm saying is my grandparents didn't buy chicken breast, chicken thighs, and chicken legs. They bought an entire chicken and butchered it into the different pieces and froze it for the whole month. So learn how to butcher your own chicken or anything else that you can buy in bulk and cut the pieces up and freeze them for the entire month. And instead of buying containers, save your containers. Remember when you were a kid and you went to the refrigerator and you couldn't tell if the butter was butter or if it was leftovers? Oh, I'm sorry, but that's a great thing. Why pay $15 for the set of containers when you can just reuse the containers that you have from the food that you already made? Make your own bread and pasta from scratch. I know that pasta can be cheap sometimes, but it's loaded with chemicals right now. And if you don't need to even buy the box pasta, or for instance, I just did a video on how to make peasant bread, which is pennies compared to even the cheapest store-bought bread that you can buy. So making your own pasta and bread is definitely going to be more frugal. This kind of goes along with groceries, not necessarily food, but make your own cleaners. There's a ton of videos on how to make cleaners, soaps, hygiene products, deodorant, you name it. There are tons of videos out there on how to make these items, and it will definitely save you hundreds of dollars, really, if you make them yourself. Instead of using sponges to do your dishes, use reusable washcloths or a scouring brush. The scrub brush can be cleaned much easier, and it's just healthier than an old gross sponge laying around, and those sponges cost money, where a scrubbing brush and reusable washcloth last a very, very long time. So that's definitely something that is more frugal. The number two category is energy costs. I know it's going to sound funny, but unplug anything that's not being used. It does draw energy even if the item is powered off. So I used to think my grandparents were crazy. They'd go around unplugging everything when it wasn't being used. And I was like, why are they doing that? I was young and dumb. So basically, unplug any item that you're not using. I did get yelled at for this all the time when I was a kid, and it still stuck to me to this day. When you leave a room, turn off the light. If you don't need the lights on, don't turn them on. My husband makes fun of me sometimes because I'll be walking around in the dark and he's like, "Why don't you just turn on a light?" And I'm like, "Because I can see. I don't need the light on. I'm just going to the bathroom real quick." So it was so ingrained in me as a kid that I can't help it. I don't turn on the lights unless it's absolutely necessary. So that's one way to becoming definitely more frugal. If it's hot out, try keeping your house closed up during the day and open everything at night. If you pull the blinds down and keep everything closed up, your house will stay cooler. And then at night, when the temperatures drop, open up some windows and let the air in, and it will keep your house cooler at night so that the next day when you close everything up, it's nice and cool in your house and it'll stay that way throughout the day. That's what my grandparents used to do back in the day. And if you put a fan in your window reversed, I used to think they were crazy. Like, why is the air blowing out of the house? What it was doing was pulling the hot air out of the house into the outside air. So it does work. I know I used to think they were crazy back in the day when I was a kid, but it does work. Use a clothesline instead of your dryer in the summer months or when it's warmer. Your clothes will smell better and they'll dry on the line and it's free. Turn your heat down and your air up. I try and keep our heat and air at 68 degrees. Depending on where you live, those numbers can be way off. For instance, my sister-in-law lives in Florida and I think she said she keeps her air on 78. To me, that's way too hot, but I live in New Jersey. That's the difference. But think about, do you really need it that cold in your house? Do you really need it that warm in your house? Can't you just, in the wintertime, put on a sweatshirt and sweatpants, and in the summertime, put on a tank top and shorts? That will definitely save you hundreds of dollars on your energy bills. Find other forms of entertainment. Instead of being on the iPad or your phone or the TV, go outside and play with your kids. Go out for a hike. Go to the beach, go outside on the deck and read a book. It's going to be summertime soon. It'll be beautiful outside. I go out on my deck sometimes and read a book, and it's cheap and it's free and it's very enjoyable. Go on bike rides. I find it very odd that nobody rides a bike anymore. It's kind of weird, actually. When I was a kid, we were always on our bike. You can go to the library and rent movies for free. They have all kinds of DVDs that you can get for free. Take your kids to the library and just hang out for a few hours reading books. You don't even have to take the books home. Plan your errands so that you're not making multiple trips back and forth to the stores. What I try to do is plan my route. So I try and do a circle. I figure out what stores are the farthest out and work my way back. This way I save on energy for my car, wear and tear on my car. You don't have to get an oil change as often. I mean, my husband doesn't really travel that far for work anyways, and I work from home, so we don't have a lot of energy costs for our car. However, making that round trip more efficient is definitely more frugal. We already do that anyways, but you should start looking into ways of doing that as well. And my last tip for energy is carpool. If you know someone that goes to the store on, say, a Saturday every week, maybe they could, if they don't live that far away, maybe they could pick you up and you could carpool to the grocery store together. Or maybe you could run all of your errands together to save on those energy costs for your vehicle. And maybe you could just take turns so that you're not using your vehicle as often. Number 3 is kind of a small category, but I think it's a big category. Kids' activities can be very expensive, especially if they're in hockey. I heard that that's one of the most expensive sports to get your child into. It's great to have your kids in sports, don't get me wrong. More kids need to be in sports because it gives them a lot of structure, and kids these days need it. And they need to get off their screens. So getting a kid into a sport is great. However, instead of putting them on the travel team, put them on the team that stays local. If you can't afford to put your kid on an actual organized sport team from the school or from the local YMCA or any other program, try to ask all the neighborhood kids if they want to do pickup games on the weekends, or talk to a bunch of friends or a bunch of friends from school or other mothers or fathers at school and find out if there's a way for you to organize your own pickup games on the weekends. This will definitely help your budget, and the kids will still get interaction with other children in positive ways and the exercise that they need, and they're still learning a sport. And honestly, when I was a kid, pickup games were great. Number 4 would be clothing. Plan your family's clothing purchases. For instance, I know everybody goes out and buys school clothes in the fall, but those school clothes technically come out in the summertime. So look for sales, buy out of season if you can, go to better Goodwill stores, Some Goodwill stores are in neighborhoods where people make a lot more money maybe. So they're giving away name brand items and you can buy them at half, if not a quarter of the cost that they normally would be. When I was a kid, we had play clothes and school clothes. So think about that as well. If your kid hasn't outgrown it, that can become their play clothes if you have to buy them new clothes for school. And shoes. If the kid hasn't outgrown the shoes, make those shoes outside chore shoes. And the same goes for you. If you have running sneakers that you can't use for running anymore, well, now they can become lawn mowing sneakers or yard work sneakers. So keep that in mind. If you haven't outgrown it or they haven't outgrown it, and it's still decent, use it in other ways and keep your good clothes and shoes for certain events or for school or work. And fix or mend your own clothing. For instance, if you buy a pair of pants and they need to be hemmed up, learn how to sew them. You can do that by hand. You don't need a sewing machine to do that. Or find someone who has a sewing machine and ask them to do it for you, or borrow their sewing machine. If you need to do something and you don't have an item, find out if somebody else has that item and borrow it. I think people forget that they can borrow things from other people and give it back that way they don't have to go buy that item, especially if they're not going to use that item more than once or twice. Number 5's category is home and car maintenance. So basically, try and learn new skills so that you can do your own oil changes on your car, do your own brakes on your car, learn how to fix your ice maker on the refrigerator instead of having somebody come and fix your ice maker. Learn how to do it yourself. Learn how to fix small things on your washing machine or dryer. And if you really have tried and you can't do it, well, at least you tried. Hire someone to come out and do it for you. If you do the research first and try and figure out how to fix it first, that'll save you a ton of money. Do your own landscaping and lawn care. I know a lot of people pay people to come out and do it for them, but really it's really not that hard. I mean, spend the money and get a lawnmower. Go on Marketplace and try and find somebody who just bought a new lawnmower. There still works and there's nothing wrong with it, but it's a quarter of the price that you would pay in the stores now. Hire a local teenager to come do it, and if you can't do it yourself. I know a lot of kids these days don't want to shovel driveways and mow grass, but you'd be surprised if you asked around. Maybe you could find somebody's friend's kid that will come mow your grass for half the price of a lawn company if you can't do it yourself. If you can do it yourself, take that time once a week and just get it done, and it will save you hundreds of dollars a year. Number 6 is debt. Don't use credit cards unless you're going to pay it off in full that month. There's no reason that you should be spending money on interest if you are struggling. Stop using credit cards unless you can pay them off that month. Be intentional about your purchases. If you go to the store and you see something, wait 24 to 48 hours. And if you still feel like you need, not want, but need that item, then you can go back and buy that item. But before you go back and buy that item, make sure you do some research on whether it's on sale somewhere else or you can get a better deal somewhere else. And also make sure that when you're going to go replace something or buy something that you think you need, really sit down and think about the fact of how many times are you going to use it, and you borrow it from somebody else, or do you really, really need it? Sometimes we think we need something, but we really don't, because we might have something around the house that we already have that can be used for whatever you're trying to do. For instance, containers. Do you really need to go buy containers to put your food in? Or did you throw out a container last week that you should have kept, and then you wouldn't have to go buy containers? Things like that. Stop looking what other people have. Stop upgrading to the latest and greatest of anything that you have. Stop trying to keep up with the Joneses, is what they say. And it's true. Do what your family needs for your family. Stop worrying about what other people think. Stop worrying about what other people are doing. They're probably in debt up to their ears. Like that old commercial used to say, you see a guy driving around on his lawnmower and he would say, I'm up to debt to my ears, because he's trying to keep up with the guy next door. You don't have to do that. For your family, live frugally, only buy what you absolutely need, stay away from what you want for now until you have a nice little nest egg and you feel comfortable that you can go out and purchase that wanted item without destroying your budget. And you don't have to upgrade to the latest and greatest of anything. If it still works, there is no reason to upgrade to the latest phone or tablet or whatever else. Most phones can be used for years past the time time that the latest and greatest came out. And only replace something if you can't fix it. If you really can't fix it, or it's come to the end of its life and it has to be replaced, then go ahead and replace it. For instance, my aunt has a refrigerator that's literally 65 or more years old. 65 years old, the refrigerator. She has parts and pieces fixed on it. It still runs. Why get rid of it? I know that nowadays things aren't made as well as they were back in the day. However, if you can fix it before you replace it, then definitely fix it. Number 7's category is less waste. Before you throw something away, make sure that there's no other use for it whatsoever. I've said this in another video on becoming more self-sufficient, and basically it's true. For instance, I got something in the mail and it had a rubber band on it. Instead of throwing the rubber band away, I kept it. And I'm not saying become a hoarder. I'm just saying that that rubber band might come in handy in the future. And I used to make fun of my mother because she had all kinds of stuff and all kinds of cabinets and drawers. And I'm like, you don't know if you're ever going to need that. And she's like, the one time I throw it away is probably going to be the time that I need it. But again, like I said, don't become a hoarder, but keep items until you're absolutely sure that you're not going to need it. I just got rid of a bunch of cords that I had laying around for probably 5-10 years that we just never used. Obviously, whatever that plugged into no longer exists. So I finally bit the bullet and I finally recycled them all. But I had them for a little while before I got rid of them. Repurpose small jars that you can put like push pins in or other small items so that you don't have to go buy one of those organizing caddies. Like my mother-in-law has all of her screws in little jars, and I started doing that. My husband used to buy coffee creamer in a big jug, and that is now what we store all of our nails and screws and things in. You can also use old shoe boxes for organization. You can use old cups for pens and pencils to keep in. Any cardboard that you get from purchasing items, if it's plain brown cardboard, take all the tape off, use it to keep the weeds down in your mulch beds. If you put that down first, it suppresses the weeds from coming up through. Put your mulch on top, nobody's even going to know that there's cardboard there. And you got rid of the weeds and you didn't have to buy any landscape cloth. Number 8 is budget. Get rid of any unnecessary items in your budget. Stop going out for coffee, make your own coffee at home. Stop going out to eat, make your own lunch at home. Get rid of all streaming services except for one, or rotate them based on what you want to watch of what they're programming that month or the month after, whatever. But plan out what one you want, but only for a month. Stop having multiple streaming services all at once. Most of the time, you're probably not even watching one of them for the entire month. So you paid for a month for something that you didn't even use. And if you go to Rocket Money and you open a free account, they will alert you or help you close any streaming services or any subscription services that you have. They will call the company for you to stop that service for you. So I'm not an affiliate for Rocket Money, but I have them and they're great. And I suggest you set up a free account. It helps you create a budget for your family. And like I said, they'll cancel subscriptions for you. Don't eat out. McDonald's is not cheap anymore. There's no more dollar menu. My neighbor told me that they went to McDonald's yesterday and it cost them $27 for 2 meals. Now, I won't eat at McDonald's because it's full of crap and it's really expensive, but there's no reason to eat out anymore. If you know you're going to be out running errands, take some snacks with you. Make sure you have like a go bag next to your door, and when you're getting ready to walk out with the kids, you just grab the go bag with snacks in it for your kids so that you don't have to stop at fast food restaurants or convenience store to get them something to eat, to get them by until dinner. You can make up snacks ahead of time on the weekend, package them up, and make a go snack bag every day and have it sitting there every day. Make your own gifts. Nowadays, most people have pretty much everything they want or need, most people. And sometimes you buy somebody something and they don't even want what you bought them. And gift cards are just ridiculous because a lot of gift cards charge fees, so they didn't even get the full $20 of what you bought the gift card for. So let's go back to the way things used to be and make our gifts. Matter of fact, one year I made everybody these little glass magnets for the refrigerator, and underneath the glass was a picture of, I forget, I think they were like landscapes or something that I did. But with Pinterest, you can make anything. So definitely do some Pinterest lookups, find some really cool but cute items that somebody might want instead of going out and buying it. Now be careful because some crafts actually cost a lot of money to make. So don't get stuck into the I'm going to make this item for them, and it ends up costing more than if you just bought a gift card. Keep that in mind. Exercise at home. Most people have a gym membership and they never even go to the gym. So stop wasting your money. Get some hand weights or borrow some hand weights, or just go on Marketplace and find somebody that's selling their hand weights that they no longer use because they purchased them and they just sit in the corner. You can go outside and go for a walk around your yard. There's no reason for you to have a gym membership. There are many videos on how to exercise at home. You don't have to buy them anymore like we did back in the day with DVDs. For instance, there's a guy on YouTube that shows you how to just do a walking routine for 30 minutes to get 10,000 steps in for the day. So there's also a ton of other videos on YouTube on how to work out. So there is no reason to have a gym membership because most of the time you don't even need any equipment. A water bottle and a towel is all you need for most workouts. And a lot of these workouts that say that you need all these weights and things, you can do those same moves without any weights, but in a different way to build the same muscle. And most people don't want to become bodybuilders. They just want to get into shape. Instead of going on vacation, do a staycation. Instead of going out, have a game night. Instead of going out with the family, rent a movie or go to the library and get a free movie and make some popcorn and have a movie night at home. And make sure you save money, even if it's only a couple dollars, $5, whatever you can put away, but make sure you put some kind of money away because it will add up faster than you think. We don't really have a lot of cash these days, but I remember saving all of my change into a bucket, and like by the end of the year it was a couple $100. I know that some people don't use cash anymore. However, some banks allow you, when you buy something, to take the difference between the next dollar amount and what you spent, and they'll move that to your savings account for you. So if you use your debit card and you go buy something for $12.57, it'll up it to $13 and it'll take that difference in change and move it to your savings account for you automatically. Number 9 is big purchases. Buy simple. If you need to buy a new car, don't go out and buy the most expensive, extravagant car that you can get. Even if you can't afford the most expensive, extravagant car, do you really need a car that has all the bells and whistles? Can you just find the base model of that car to get you from point A to point B? I know when I was growing up, I always bought used cars. I bought the cheapest piece of junk car I could buy as long as it could get me mechanically from point A to point B. So go out and look for certified used cars instead of buying the latest and greatest brand new car. Find a car that's simple, that will get you back and forth to work or back and forth to the kids' sports or whatever you need, so that you can pay cash for the vehicle, so that you don't have to pay those finance fees and interest fees. And it may have a little bit of mileage on it, but it's been broken in, but it's a decent, good car. Do research, find certified used cars that have a great track record. Don't go out and buy, a throwaway brand car. I can't name brands because I don't want to get in trouble, but there are some branded cars out there that are throwaway cars after 4 years. So do some research, pay cash for the car, and get the lowest price car that'll get you back and forth for what you need to do. Or any other item that is a big purchase item. Make sure you do your research. Only get what you absolutely need. If you don't have the money for all the bells and whistles of something, don't go into debt to buy that item just because it's cool. Go buy an item that will do the job that you need it to do for the cheapest price possible. Our parents didn't have all these fancy refrigerators and TVs and computers and fancy washing machines and dryers. They had simple appliances, simple cars, simple lawnmowers. As a matter of fact, my grandparents had a push lawnmower, old school, not engine run. You had to push it and the blades moved as you pushed it. And I had to use that. You can mow your grass with that. It's not fun, but it is doable. So if you're that desperate, you could go on Marketplace, because I've seen some recently where somebody's giving one away for like $25. So if your kid's in trouble, make them mow the lawn with the push mower. That'll get them to stop doing what they were doing wrong. And by the way, most wealthy wealthy people don't finance anything. They pay cash for everything. Why pay those interest rates when you can just buy it cash? And the last thing is number 10, do a side hustle. There are tons of videos out there right now on how to start a side hustle. You would be surprised how you can make some money on the side. A lot of people do some baked items and they go to these little event shows in town. I have a friend who makes these wreaths and other items, and I think she does pretty good with that. You can go to craft fairs, you can go to farmers markets, you can sell items. If you can't make or sell items, you can offer a service. Offer window washing for someone's home. Offer to wash and detail a car. There are many side hustles that you can do to make some extra cash. You can also barter with people. You can say to your local mechanic, listen, I really can't afford to get the brakes done on my car, so either you can say, can I make payments on it? And some mechanics, if they know you, will let you do that as long as you're honest and faithful that you're going to make payments. Or say, listen, can I pay you half but give you this in exchange? Maybe you can supply, maybe you have chickens and you can supply his family with eggs for a year so that he doesn't have to go buy eggs for a year. You'd be surprised what people would be willing to barter for. You just have to ask. And if you don't ask, you're never going to know. And you may ask and they may say no, but at least you ask. If you have the space, rent out a room or a basement so that you can make a little bit of side money that way. If you can, try and downsize. I know the market is not great right now for selling a home, so I'm not saying do that right this second. Wait until the market stabilizes and then look at downsizing so that you get the most bang for your buck on your home. However, maybe you could even just close off some rooms. I know someone that closes off some rooms in their house because they no longer use them. You don't use any energy to keep that room temperature controlled. Nobody uses it, keep it closed, use it for storage. It saves them a lot of money on their energy bills. So if you can't downsize, look at ways of downsizing the house that you have. So I think that's it. Those were 10 ways that you can become more frugal based on the research I did of how they did it back during the Great Depression. If you have any questions, which I'm sure some people may, put them in the comments below. Let's get this conversation started. If I forgot anything, put them in the comments below, because nowadays everybody needs every bit of information they can get to become more frugal, to help with their budgets and get them through these trying times. If you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to like this video if you like it. If you don't like it, put a thumbs down. Let me know what you don't like about the video. It helps the channel grow and get better. Make sure you hit the bell notification so you get all future video notifications, because I have a lot of great content that is going to be uploaded soon. So again, thank you for your support on this channel, and don't forget to put some hearts in the comments below for Rocco, because he's patiently waiting for us to go outside and play while I made this video. Rocco, you've been patiently waiting for Mommy to make the video so we can go play. Ready to go outside now? All right. Say thank you, everybody.